And we are live. Hey, everyone. Michael here with CompanyCam. We're back. Another webinar. Super excited to have you guys with us. We always appreciate those of you that tune into these. Today, we've got one of our oldest, if not our oldest partner with CompanyCam. We've got Dwight with Contractors Cloud joining us. And we're going to talk technology and roofing. But overall, we're just going to talk technology and contracting because if you're in contracting, you're running into the same headaches. You're using technology for the same reasons. So Dwight, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having us.
You bet. So while we kind of let a few people trickle in here, I'm going to throw a shameless plug out. I'm going to be out in Colorado next week, and we are hosting with GAF, C3 Group, and Balance Claims. We're hosting John Dye Art of the Supplement. And we have some seats left in both our Fort Collins event on the 16th and our Denver event on the 17th. So if anybody is watching this live or starts watching this on demand and you say, hey, I'm in the Denver metro area or I'm in the Fort Collins area and you want to come out, it's usually a $400 a ticket class. We're paying for it. It's free. It's on us. So because you're tuning in today, you can definitely get some seats for that. So if you're watching, reach out to us and we'll get you that information. But let's go ahead and we got a good number of people already in here with us. So let's go ahead and kind of go over the agenda here, Dwight. And then we'll dive into the content here. So we're going to go over what Contractors Cloud is for those of you that may be unfamiliar with Contractor Cloud. Do a quick overview of CompanyCam. Most of you are already CompanyCam users, so you probably know a lot about that. We'll dive into that a little bit more. We'll talk about how our CompanyCam and Contractors Cloud integration works, which is it's a really seamless integration. It's very efficient for you as a contractor. And then really why we're here. We're going to talk software in the contracting space. And Dwight's got some great info on a software buyer's guide. As always, we want questions. We want to make this as interactive as possible. So if you have questions, drop those in the chat. To maybe test the chat out right now. Let us know where you're joining from so you can kind of get familiar with using the chat. So let us know where you're joining from. And with that, Dwight, let's tell everyone what Contractors Cloud is and just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, thanks, Michael. Never really told this story before, so not too many people know about it, how Contractors Cloud started, how we got into it, how I got into it. But basically, it's a product of the Great Recession. My entire 20 plus years in the construction industry started off as an engineer. I'm a licensed engineer and learned access development at a previous employer just because I was bored and I wanted to improve the processes that we had in our office. So I was a self-taught access programmer, never went to school for it, built a program for that engineering firm, moved on from there and got essentially a dream job around 2005 where I was an engineer contractor for a land developer. I ran his land development firm, and that land developer happened to be an extremely successful roofer here in central Minnesota. That's where we're from. We're based in Annandale, Minnesota. So if I do have a funny accent, you know why. Good Midwestern accent. But around that Great Recession time, 2007, 2008, the land development pretty much halted. So I actually got absorbed into his roofing business. And even though I knew a lot about building and contracting, certainly got intimate with the roofing industry and dove in and learned every aspect of it, whether it was production, admin, sales. And I was lucky enough to become the general manager of that company, essentially to help improve communication and processes. At that time, there weren't very many options for a roofing CRM or business software at that time. So I told the owner, hey, you know what, I could probably build you something. And did it out of Access, Microsoft Access. And to make that long story short, within 2.5 years, we went from a 5-person sales force in central Minnesota to a 35-person sales force working 5 or 6 different markets throughout the country. Just because of the communication advantages and efficiency advantages of the program that we built. In 2009, again, because of the Great Recession, things happened where that office was no longer open, so I was off on my own. Really couldn't find an engineering job at the time. A lot of contractors and engineers were kind of struggling at the time. But I really, really enjoyed that aspect of my career. I really, really enjoyed the industry and felt that we did something unique and amazing. And I felt that based off of what was out there at the time, as far as software, I thought I could provide something unique. So at that time, I did not know web development. I obviously knew Access development, but excuse me, I did not know any type of web-based development. So I locked myself in my basement for 9 months, self-taught myself web development while building Contractors Cloud, and hustled my way through looking up contractors over the internet, giving them a call and pitching the product over the web. And that was 9 years ago. So it was out of necessity. It was out of something that I enjoyed. It was a big risk. And I think many of our shared customers, roofers out there, might have a similar story where they started their business because they felt that, hey, this is what I'm about. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. I may not know everything that I'm getting into, but I'm going to give it a go. And that's exactly how we did it. Over the past 9 years, we've worked really hard on just developing an amazing customer base. We really have solidified some amazing partnerships with the customers that we serve. And that's been essentially our way of marketing, is word of mouth, referrals. We haven't done very much marketing over the past 8 years. We're going to ramp that up here a little bit more here this year, but we haven't really needed to. It's a great story. I feel it's cool to have accomplished that, and now we're just full throttle. Excited to bring Contractors Cloud to the next level, and we're about to do that.
Awesome. Well, one thing I can say from CompanyCam's perspective is, we work with a lot of CRMs, and there's a lot of good ones out there, and we're going to talk about that later in the event here. But from the integration standpoint, we love our integration with Contractors Cloud because it works. Right. At the end of the day, when we talk to our mutual clients, and we ask them, how is it? And it works. It's efficient. It works every time for them. And so those of you that maybe are new to Contractors Cloud, definitely, I would encourage checking it out. If you're in the market for a CRM, we're going to give you, or Dwight's going to give you kind of the buyer's guide here coming up. Before we get to that, just we always do the quick elevator pitch here of CompanyCam. I'm going to share the poll question just so I can see, if you're currently a CompanyCam client or not. And if, everybody in the room is, obviously I'll really breeze through this, but CompanyCam, quick poll. If you would answer that would be great. It looks like pretty much everybody is, or they want to start, which we love. You want to start, people. If you want to start, you can see here down on the bottom, companycam.com/webinar. That is how you do start. So if you said, hey, I want to start just to make me feel good, I appreciate that. But if you truly are ready to start, follow that link. We're going to give you 30 days free and then 50% off 2 months. For those of you that obviously are familiar with CompanyCam, this will be not new. But if you're not familiar with it, we're based out of a roofing system here in...
Sorry about that.
It's all right. You must be next to the train tracks, huh?
Yeah. We've got...
So yeah, we're based out of a roofing company here in Lincoln, Nebraska. We were born out of necessity. They were having a difficult time keeping everyone on the same page. They weren't new to knowing that they need to document as a contractor, but when they truly needed the documentation, they didn't know where it was. It wasn't organized. It would take a lot of time to get that then over to the people that needed it. So they set out to solve that problem, and CompanyCam was the solution. This actually is an old graphic. This is our old UI, but you get the picture. Everything in CompanyCam is going to be automatically organized by location. And by automatically, you're not having to upload, send, attach, do any of those things with CompanyCam. It's automatically straight to the cloud as soon as you or your guys in the field capture the image. You're going to know who took it and when. And then, like I said, it's instantly available for everyone in the company. So really, really valuable, communication tool. I can see what's happening without having to bother my guys. My guys aren't answering a phone when they're on a roof or they're in a crawl space. Whatever contracting space you're in, they're not answering while they're working. But if they are documenting, you can see what they've done recently. So it really, like I said, it keeps everyone in sync. Everybody's on the same page. What we find is it's going to increase your accountability. The transparency in your company is amazing with CompanyCam. And like I said, you can see what's happening without leaving the office. When I was, asking where everybody was from, Chicago, Illinois, I was just in Chicago last week for a luxury bath event. And I literally had to drive 30 miles, Dwight, and it took me 2.5 hours. So, to be able to see what's happening on my job sites without having to drive job site to job site is invaluable. And I know last time I was in Minneapolis, you had more road work construction going on than any place I've ever been. So, just being able to see things without having to drive job site to job site is very valuable. So that's kind of CompanyCam in a nutshell. And then I'm going to kind of talk a little bit here, and Dwight, feel free to add in anything. But obviously, CompanyCam and Contractors Cloud, we're partners, but we're integrated partners. And so what that means is when you create a project or lead, whatever you want to refer to it as in Contractors Cloud, it's automatically going to populate that project in CompanyCam. You're not having that dual entry. So it's create it once, and now it's going to be in both places. And then when you get to the job, you open CompanyCam up. Obviously, the GPS locates where you are. Simply confirm, start capturing images, marking them up, and then all of that is returned back to Contractors Cloud automatically. So there's no step in there that you have to do. So like I said, it eliminates that dual entry. One other thing that I feel is really beneficial with the integration, and I think we should probably sell on it more than we do, but it allows for someone to be a user in just one system. So a lot of times I hear, well, I've got Janice back in the office. She's never taking pictures. That's fine. Janice can be in Contractors Cloud. She's going to have access to the pictures. She doesn't need a CompanyCam account. Or maybe you have George out and he's just a sub. You don't want him to have access to all of your stuff that Contractors Cloud is storing for you, but you do need documentation. He could live in CompanyCam and still get everything back into Contractors Cloud for Janice, just like you would want to have happen. So that's just a really kind of basic overview of the integration. I don't know if there's anything you want to add there, Dwight.
Well, yeah, back in the day, it seems like I'm referring 20 years ago, but 7-8 years ago when we made the connection to CompanyCam, I believe it's been that long. Seems like a long time. But everyone expected a CRM or a data management system to do everything. And frankly, they still do. However, CompanyCam came around and you just specialize in just one aspect of a feature that we provided and still do as far as just photo and file uploads. But CompanyCam took it to a whole new level. Which is absolutely amazing. And you took it in a direction that probably Contractors Cloud and no other program would ever spend any time and resources in. So basically, the partnership that we have is a synergistic partnership where you're taking one aspect that is extremely important to a contractor's workflow or process, and you just made it your own. And it's amazing what you guys are doing with it. And we're really excited to, once you guys get a couple things buttoned up on your end, and so do we, we'll be integrating a lot more of your features into Contractors Cloud, and we're really excited about that.
Absolutely. And we've got a slide here at the end that we'll kind of talk. Christian asked about a feature. We'll kind of talk about the roadmap of both Contractors Cloud and CompanyCam here at the end. But I always, I love doing the quick little elevator pitches, but obviously we want as CompanyCam, we want people to come to us as a source of information and a source of knowledge. And we have the best partners out there. And so we want to feature our partners and what they can bring to the table. So Dwight, with that, I'm just going to kind of turn it over to you. I'm going to be over here on this monitor, talking to people in chat, answering questions. Sure. But if you want to maybe just go over your software buyer's guide, I'll basically interrupt if there's questions, or if I have personal questions on what you're going over. Those of you, it's going to be Dwight's show now. If you have questions, let us know, and I'll get those asked for you.
Right on. So what we're going to be talking about here for the next few slides, I actually have in a blog article that you can find on contractorscloud.com. Click up in the upper right and on the blog link, and you can find the entire article. But the first thing is reasons for needing a software package. And when I'm talking about software, I'm talking about CRM, data management, specialty trade software, whatever you want to call it. No one's really come up with an accurate description of what we do. CRM is just probably a little bit too basic. But for technology like we provide, why would a contractor need it? Well, it's fairly simple if you think about it. If you are lacking in communication between your customers and your staff, that might be a reason for needing it. Probably one of the most important is process and efficiency. You'd be surprised how many contractors we deal with that don't have a process, or at least a written down process of how they want a project to go from very beginning to very end. If that's something you're looking for, then maybe a product such as Contractors Cloud will highly benefit you. Lack of financial understanding. I mean, we're small businesses. We got to know our numbers, and we got to know what our numbers were yesterday. We got to know what they are today, and we got to have a plan for what they're going to be tomorrow. And unless you have a good system that brings all those numbers together, that might be difficult to measure. Lack of structure. And what I mean by that is you can think of it as a corporate structure or management structure, but just structure. Here's how our company as a contractor is set up. Here are the managers. Here are the supervisors. This is what we do, and clearly defining what we do. A program such as ours can greatly help you define that if you haven't defined that already. And obviously, heavy work volumes. A lot of our insurance restoration customers, when there's a storm, it's go time. And they're dealing with a ton of volume. And they're going to need tools to help them get through that volume. And Contractors Cloud and programs like ours can effectively do that. Now, it seems like software and technology, especially in the roofing industry, it's fairly new, right? It's, a decade old, maybe a little bit more, give or take. So there's a lot of these tools coming out and a lot of options for contractors to choose from. And we're starting to see that a lot of contractors are going with whatever's trendy at the time, without really having a mindset or thinking about why they need technology and what type of technology that they need. There's a lot of systems out there that may advertise, hey, go with us. We're the secret of your success. Our opinion is Contractors Cloud is not the secret of your success. It's you. It's the owner. It's the contractor. It's your vision and leadership. We tell our customers that on your journey to success, Your vision and leadership is the fuel, and Contractors Cloud is the vehicle. So systems such as ours, we're a tool system to help you get to where you want to be. So you just got to understand that you're investing in a tool with these systems. You need to understand actually what you need for your business. I can certainly understand and appreciate a contractor who is looking into a system. If they're not on a CRM system right now, or they're looking to change, how daunting of a task that might be, because there's a lot of features out there. There's a lot of things to choose from, and a contractor has to decide, okay, is that really beneficial to my operation, or is that a bell or a whistle? That's a nice to have. So I recommend to contractors, you really have to understand, what are you needing? What are you needing to fix right now? Create a list of the things that you want to improve and prioritize those before you look into a software, so you are getting exactly what you need. What are your processes? How do you run a job from very beginning to very end? Do you have those written down? You'd be surprised on how many contractors do not have a written down process. And self-evaluate those processes. And you should do that often. Hey, are these processes more advantageous for my staff, or are they more advantageous for the customer? And in our opinion, the more advantageous you can make it for the customer, essentially, the more jobs you will end up getting. If you think about it, the business that our customers are in is extremely competitive, right? And essentially, the only difference, even though they do very similar things, the only difference between one contractor and another is their process, or their set of processes and how they run a job through. One really cool thing with Contractors Cloud is we were the first, and I believe technically we still are the only system that has an automated workflow process where you can define your step-by-step milestone process on how you want to run a job from very beginning to very end. Extremely important in establishing accountability and consistency in running these jobs. And we can help our customers through that. If they don't have a process, we deal this day in and day out in helping contractors create a process. We deal with hundreds and hundreds of contractors, so we've gotten really good at understanding how contractors operate, what works and what doesn't, and we look forward to helping other customers with that. Can those processes be improved? I help identify any type of delays and solidify those up. So processes are extremely important. A lot of these programs, they have features that do one thing and features that do another, but there's very few programs out there that actually bring them all together and tie them together in a process-oriented fashion. Are you ready for software? This is an important thing to ask prior to buying. What are your goals? You should have some goals prior to looking into software, because if you know what your benchmark performance is for your company right now, what do you think it could be if you injected some efficiency and accountability and consistency? What do you want to achieve? Because maybe the goals might help guide you on what type of software you want to buy. Is your staff technically ready? Now, all of the systems out there, can you still hear me, Michael? Are we still on?
Yep, you're doing great.
Just double checking. Is your staff technically ready? We're all guilty. You take a look at any of the softwares out there. We're all guilty of saying, hey, we're easy to use, but that is so subjective. because honestly, we don't know what the technical capabilities of the actual end user are. But I can tell you that all of the softwares out there, we deal with, no offense to the technically challenged, but we deal with people that have just turned on a computer for the first time. We deal with people that are probably a little bit more mature in age, that aren't as savvy with technology, all the way to the people that can create the coolest and most amazing Excel spreadsheet that does the most fantastic things that you've ever seen, and everything in the middle. The point is in any type of technology, yeah, you're going to want to choose the software that is easy to use, that is fun to use. But you're going to have to expect that your staff is going to have to become a little bit more technically savvy than probably what they are today. So you're going to have to be ready for that. As a contractor, before you buy software, you need to ask yourself, do you hold your staff accountable? I mean, you probably should, right? We're small businesses. That's why we have employees. That's why we have goals. That's why we try and level up all the time, is we need to hold our staff accountable. I'm not quite sure with the other programs out there, but certainly with Contractors Cloud, there's a ton of functionality in there where you are really holding your staff accountable. You're expecting them to do something. If they're not doing it, you're going to be notified. Or if something doesn't get done, you'll at least be able to go in there and see where the bottlenecks and the breakdowns are, and then make decisions on, okay, how am I going to address this with my staff? Staff accountability, especially in the tight labor market that we're in today, is extremely important. Be prepared for change. Anytime that you implement a new program, it's going to be change. If you have a process, a paper process that you've been running for years, essentially going on a software program, that's going to be a change. With us, if you are coming from paper and going to Contractors Cloud, we initially try to mimic your processes within the software. And while asking you, where do you want to go with this, and come up with some sort of onboarding plan to get you from starting out on a brand new software to really rocking and rolling with it. And finally, you're going to have to be prepared to commit some time. These programs, if they are useful, they're going to have a lot of functionality. I mean, if you think about it, contractors in the roofing, siding, insurance restoration business, there's a lot of stuff, a ton of stuff that these contractors have to keep track of. And it seems like in the insurance restoration industry, year after year, there's a couple more hoops that you have to jump through, and it just seems like it's getting more and more difficult to run a roofing business. And a software such as ours are essentially going to have a place for all that, but you're going to have to commit the time to learn it, to understand it, and to get better with what you do.
Yeah, Dwight, we did have a good question here from Christian, and I gave him at least my answer for it. We'll kind of get yours as well. But he asked, is this too much for a one-man company? My answer was basically, it depends on what you want your company to look like going forward. If you're wanting to scale, might as well start learning Contractors Cloud now, getting things and the processes started today. If you plan on staying as a one-user company, I'm sure you have a lot of one-user companies that benefit greatly from it. It would probably depend on what your current processes look like. Right. I don't know what your answer to that question would be.
Well, the answer to that is simple. Is this too much for a one-man company? Well, just take software aside and just take a look at everything you have to do in the roofing business. It's the same amount, whether you're a one-man show or you've got a staff of 50. There's a lot of things that you have to keep track of. And you just have to make the choice. Am I going to do it on paper? So I have to be at the office or at home to get something done, or am I going to do it on a piece of technology that allows me to do it anywhere? We deal with contractors, various sizes all over the country. We do have some one user operations. We do have some 100 user operations. Point is, it's all stuff that needs to get done, and these are tools to help you do it.
Absolutely. Good answer.
Yep.
Right. There we go. Software buying guide, making the purchase. Let you kind of run with that one here, Dwight, and then I'll maybe.
Sure.
This is one actually kind of hits home for CompanyCam, just very similar to Contractors Cloud. So I'll let you kind of run with it, but then I may jump in here and add a couple things as well.
Making the purchase timeline. I'm assuming the timeline, what that is referring to is, okay, once I sign up with a software, how long is it going to be before I'm rocking and rolling with it? Well, I guess that depends on how much you already know about industry and what your technical aptitude is. But we have, most of our customers are rocking and rolling within Contractors Cloud within 2 weeks. Now, that is probably based off of a process that they're currently doing right now. But contractors, when they take a look at us, they're surprised on, holy moly, this is the direction I can go with my company. These are the things that I'll be able to keep track of. These are the things that I'm able to do. Absolutely. But let's just get you rocking and rolling right now. Let's take care of your hot buttons. Let's keep you extremely productive and efficient. And then let's build on these other wants and needs over time. A lot of these programs, it's not one of those things where you've got to learn all of it right now. With us, we spend a lot of time with you, since all of our service and training is included. We have some pretty interesting one-on-one talks, and we want to understand where you're going with your company. We want to understand what your goals are. We want to be that technical partner that feels like, hey, we're part of your organization. You just happen to be working in a different office. So we spend a lot of time in establishing those goals to get you to a point where you want to be as quickly as possible. But most of our companies are rocking and rolling within 2 weeks.
For sure. And I would maybe even add, like, from a timeline perspective, have like that timeline, and don't be afraid to ask those questions of whatever software you're looking to get. Cause there's tons of software out there, and
Right.
There's software that both Contractors Cloud and CompanyCam are going to integrate that we're not doing these things. Talk to them, how long is this going to take for me to get? And obviously they're going to tell you maybe a little shorter. Sometimes, like CompanyCam, I'm going to tell you can be up and running in 10 minutes. And literally some people can. Is there going to be somebody on your team that takes a little longer? For sure. But I would even say, like, maybe before I've even made the purchase, like what is my timeline? Because I think a lot of times people understand, hey, I have a problem and need to get it solved with the technology. They just go grab the first thing that's out there.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
I have kind of like a process for vetting that out. Use some of the things you're learning today to say, hey, these are the things that I need software to do for my company, to make it work for my company. As Dwight said, make sure the software works and fits with your company, not vice versa. Don't make your company work based on what your software can do.
That's the number one reason why I built Contractors Cloud, because at the time, the systems that were available, they were based off of a process of, let's just say, an insurance restoration contractor who probably created an amazing process that works specifically for them, and then designed that software around that process. But at that time, I felt that not every contractor operates the same way. Not every contractor wants to use the same exact process. So we built Contractors Cloud to be as customizable as possible, as automated as possible. One of our initial taglines that we used years ago was, hey, Contractors Cloud adapts to you rather than you having to adapt to the software. And that stands true today.
Absolutely.
Data availability. You want to move to that one?
Yeah, let's jump to data availability.
Yeah.
And I will kind of talk from CompanyCam's angle first,
Sure.
because this is extremely important when getting into software. I hear it all the time. I'm not going to say any names out there, but I hear people tell me a lot of times, "Hey, I feel like I can't change software." Well, why is that? I can't get my data from them. And the question gets asked all the time when I first show somebody CompanyCam. The obvious questions are pricing, obviously training and service. So it's kind of what we have right here, data availability. With CompanyCam, and I'll let Dwight speak for Contractors Cloud here in a second, but you own all the data. We will help you get it out of where we're storing it. If the relationship goes south and you decide to move on, we will help you get that data. And I think that's very important when you're out shopping for software, figuring out how is my data still mine? How do I get it if I decide this software isn't for me?
Right.
Do you want to maybe speak on that from Contractors Cloud?
Sure. In my opinion, I believe that there are some softwares out there that consciously made it difficult to get your data just because they wanted to sink their claws into you and make it more difficult for you to leave. And there are still some companies that do that. Ever since day one, we made all of your table data available, regardless of what it is within Contractors Cloud. And that's still the case today, where every piece of data that you put into Contractors Cloud. Now, I got to say, not every tiny little piece, but when it comes to customers, jobs, financials, all of that, you can export all of the tables into a CSV spreadsheet at any time. And a lot of our customers use that export, not because they're leaving, but because regardless of how many cool reports or features that we build, we've got a lot of amazing customers that are really good at spreadsheets and want to dive into their data a little bit more intimately. And they really enjoy the ability to download that data at any time. Our new version that we're coming out with, a lot of that data is still going to be downloadable, but it's going to be API-able as well, which is obviously the direction that everyone's going. So data availability, I agree with you 100%. That's the user's data, that's the company's data, that's not our data, and they should have access to that at any time for sure.
Absolutely. Do you want to maybe, from the poll, it looked like almost everybody was with CompanyCam currently. I'll just give the high level pricing. It's $12 a month per user, completely unlimited, no fees that would be hidden or anything. So that's CompanyCam's pricing for those of you wanting to start it. Dwight, you want to maybe jump into Contractors Cloud's pricing here?
Sure. Our pricing's right on our website. So if you go to contractorscloud.com and go to pricing, you'll see our pricing. It's pretty straightforward. When it comes to pricing, there are some subtle differences between us and everyone else that's out there. When you're looking at our packages and comparing those packages with other companies, I'd really stress in looking at how their service and training is. There are some companies out there that have some really good price points, but service and training, or the full gamut of service and training, is not included. At Contractors Cloud, we're never going to do that. All of our packages are full service, full training, dedicated account teams, onboarding sessions. We really get to know who our customers are, far beyond just teaching them the software, and all of that's included in our pricing. Our packages are anywhere from $50 to $80, depending on the functionality that you want and need. I would say our most popular package that a vast majority of our companies are on are around that $70, $75 mark. We bill Contractors Cloud, we bill differently than anyone else, and we always have been. Everyone else, they bill you at the beginning of the month for that upcoming month's usage. Contractors Cloud, we bill kind of like a cell phone. We bill for actual usage. And the reason why we do that is we only bill for the people that actually log on and use the system, whether they're active. Well, they have to be active to log on. But we bill only for the people that log on. So if a customer or a contractor, let's just say they have 20 employees, and maybe July 1st, all 20 employees are logging into Contractors Cloud and doing their work, well, we're going to bill you for 20 users for that previous month. However, January 1st, let's say half the company goes on vacation and only 10 people log on for the month of January. Well, we're only going to bill you for the 10 people, the 10 users that logged on. So our billing process, our pricing follows the cash flow of the company on a month-to-month basis. And that seems to have really worked out well for us. People enjoy that.
Yeah, you bet. And a few things that just kind of piggyback on what you said there. One, I should have mentioned, we Contractors Cloud and CompanyCam are one and the same in terms of how we do training. We want you to succeed with our software, and so we're going to give you a dedicated account manager that's going to help with trainings. They'll do multiple trainings, those kind of things as well, and that's at no cost with CompanyCam as well. The other thing when it comes to pricing, I feel like this is just something I'm personally passionate about, is so often people get caught up in the number. It's X. And, a lot of it is because that's how you're out in the field charging. It's, hey, it's $350 a square. That's how much I can put a roof on for. $425 a square. That's what I charge. With software and tools in general that you have with your company, you have to remember, what is the ROI? What do I get by putting somebody onto this solution? I'll just use CompanyCam, for instance. Maybe it saves one of your subcontractors 10 minutes a day that you're paying him to be out in the job anyway, saving him 10, 15 minutes a day. You start multiplying that out through the month, and wow, just by having him on CompanyCam, you're making money. You're getting
right.
a positive return on that investment. And so I feel like software, a lot of times people just hear a price and they say, well, that's just more money out of my pocket. But there's positive ROI to software, especially if you, like we talked about earlier, get those processes in place and really, get things rolled out within your company. So we kind of covered training and service there as well.
Kristen has a question there. All packages require a monthly minimum of $149. Pretty much all of the softwares out there are instituting a minimum. All that means is your lowest bill is $149. So if you're a one user company, you're going to be charged $149 with Contractors Cloud. And I believe the rest of the softwares out there are putting on minimums, just for the basic fact, guys, that the amount of time and the cost to help someone learn our system is the same exact amount of resources if it's one user or 50 users. At least that's what it is for us. So one user, we have a minimum just to help recoup a lot of the resources that we invest into training that person up. That's what that 149 is. And I'm pretty sure that's the same mentality of the other programs out there if they institute a minimum. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's see here.
Training and service, we kind of went over that. We just kind of brushed over that.
Dive into that a little bit more if you want.
When it comes right down to software systems, training and service is the most important thing. With how large these programs are, with the amount of features that these programs can do for a contractor, is just mind-blowing. The amount of things that these things can keep track of. Expecting someone to just all of a sudden pop into a brand new program and learn it all on their own, I don't think is very reasonable, just for the fact that every software has some sort of intended use with each piece of functionality. So it's really nice to get into that discussion with a contractor. Hey, this is how it was designed. This is what it was intended for. How do you want to do it? And really learn from the contractor on, okay, this is how we intended to do it, but how do you actually do it? Because if that's a good idea, we'll implement that into our program. That's a huge part of servicing these programs. Training is absolutely huge. We're going to really be ramping up our video training here in the coming months, but our one-on-one training with our staff, it's probably the biggest benefit that we're known for is our service and training. We pick up the phone when you call, and if we don't pick up the phone, we're getting back to you within minutes. Any type of service issue we want to resolve within an hour. I'm not quite sure if we're met that goal quite yet, but certainly within the day, we should have everything resolved. Again, training and service, it's something that we're extremely proud of. It's a relationship that we want to build with our customers, and the only way you do that is just having conversations through our training and service department. So when you're looking at software, really grill how they do their service and training. Do their reps know what drip edge is? Do their service reps know what the insurance restoration industry is? Any of these programs out there, they should have an immense amount of industry knowledge over and above the software that they're trying to deal. So that's all I got to say about that.
For sure. I mean, it's not hard, honestly, to try to reach out to these companies. You know, you can go to CompanyCam right now, and you could go with chat with support, and you don't even have to be a CompanyCam client. You could see how long is it going to take for support of CompanyCam or Contractors Cloud. How long does it take them to get back to you? Whether you're a client or not, just test it out when you're in that buying phase, and see, hey, when something's broke for me, that's when you really need somebody to get back to you, especially when you're running a business. And like you said, obviously you want to be as fast as possible, but it's just like anybody running a business. As a roofing contractor, you're probably not answering the phone every single time on the first ring, but you pride yourself, I'm sure, as a contractor on being there for your customers. So that's really all I have on that. I'm going to let you just kind of take this next one.
Sure.
I think, the intricacies of Contractors Cloud lend themselves to, like, how do I be successful with my software once I have purchased it?
Sure. The first and foremost thing, the owner needs to be involved. I can't tell you, over the past 10 years, there's been a number of companies that have signed on. The owner just bought it for the employees, and the owner's not involved. I am willing to bet that 100% of those companies, one, they're no longer with us, and probably a vast majority of them are no longer in business right now, just because when we're talking about processes and we really want to understand where you've been, where you're at, and where you're going as a contracting company, that's coming from the vision and the leadership of the owner. Now, that doesn't mean that the owner has to be in the system multiple times a day. I mean, they should, right? Because they're the ones that need to see the reports. But they certainly need to be involved in defining processes and defining roles and really defining the structure of their company. So we highly recommend that the owner is involved not only in the buying decision, but the implementation of the program. Understand why you need it. Are you getting it just because everyone else is getting it, or are you getting it for one specific feature? And is that one specific feature really going to give you a tremendous return on your investment? You really got to analyze, okay, if I'm going to make the commitment and invest in a tool that is essentially going to revolutionize every aspect of my business, I better understand why and why I want it and why I need it. establishing those goals. If you're investing in technology tools to help you improve, you better have a good idea of where you want to go and how far you want to go with your business, because it's these tools that are going to measure your actual return on the investment. So being able to set those goals and knowing where you want to go is going to make the system fun as you're watching the numbers populate within the system. Goals are very critical. You got to learn it. You got to learn the system. You got to take the time to learn the system. Every program's different out there. Some programs are pretty remedial and basic, where you can learn those things within a few days. Some are probably a little bit more involved in topics that you're unfamiliar with, but you understand that, man, I really got to learn that aspect of my business because that's going to benefit me down the road. It's like with anything. If you're a sales guy or a salesperson, you want to spend some time in improving your sales skills. With these data management, these business management systems, you got to spend time and learning them and learning every aspect of them to really get the biggest bang for your buck. And layer the training. And what I mean by that is, I said earlier, you do not have to learn everything from the very beginning. That's just too overwhelming. But having a good idea of where you want to go and what you need to learn, and then essentially putting yourself on a schedule or a syllabus of learning, that seems to be the best way to learn these systems. Use their support resources. They're there for a reason. A lot of these systems are going to more automated video type of systems. We're certainly going in that direction with our new version, but there's still nothing better than just picking up the phone and having a conversation. And hopefully you are investing in a system that has someone on the other end of that line waiting for you. And then finally, with any type of technology, any type of software, I mentioned earlier that I'm an engineer. I'm a civil engineer, so I got a lot of experience with bulldozers and equipment. And I learned at a young age, if you have a bulldozer or a piece of equipment that's just sitting there idle, it's not making you any money. Well, that's the same with these programs. You got to use them. They're not going to make you any money. You're not going to learn anything about your business, about your customers, unless you use these systems. So that's my opinion. That's how to be successful with software. And it seems to be extremely relevant nowadays. Absolutely.
I would just say, in my personal opinion, I feel like the first and the last points on this list are by far the most important. Anytime you're doing something in your company, if you as an owner or manager, if you're not leading the training and leading the reasoning behind why this is important, it's not going to be seen as important. And then finally, if you're not using it, it's not going to work. That's right. That's any software. Why didn't this work for you? I couldn't get my guys to use it. Well, probably comes back to, well, as an owner or manager, were you the one that implemented it? Did you train to it? Those kind of things. So I think great points there, Dwight. Let's kind of hit through the future of CompanyCam and Contractors Cloud here, and then hopefully have a few questions. We'll have a few minutes there at the end for questions there. I'll just kind of hit the CompanyCam ones, and then I'll let you talk Contractors Cloud. The 2020 Q1 roadmap for CompanyCam, and remember, this is development. It doesn't always happen like we want it to exactly the day that we're planning on, but we want these 3 features to be live in Q1 of 2020. We want video to be live. It's actually in beta, very small beta form right now. We'll be rolling that out to more and more people here shortly with beta, but we'll be able to take live video right there within the app. Checklist, punch list. This is something we've been working on, and we know is important to be able to create and fill out checklists, add items to punch lists, create custom reports from the field, so that you're only doing it once. Your guys are saying, hey, the tear off is complete. Here's my checklist showing that. And then finally, project sharing, where you're going to be able to collaborate with other companies within CompanyCam. So you maybe you're subbing everything out, or maybe you're a GC type of run organization and you need to bring in other trades. You'll be able to share projects with them, because it's important that they have the photos and the documentation that they're doing the work, but then also that you have it. So project sharing is something really that we think is going to be exciting for CompanyCam. And then, as we go, you'll be able to start assigning checklists via project sharing. So, hey, subs, I need you to show me the completion checklist. You need to have that done to get paid. So a lot of cool things coming on the horizon with CompanyCam. Dwight, you want to maybe talk Rainmaker and then any other stuff there with Contractors Cloud?
Yeah, I see my graphic didn't make it on this one. Is it on the next one?
No, it was there last night. I have no idea where it went to.
I put it in there this morning. Can we do a screen share? Because I actually have the graphic up here.
Yeah, if you have it up, I believe I can stop sharing this, and then if you just see down there, you'll be able to share your screen as well. Do it fast, because now they get to see our ugly mugs here for a few minutes.
Can you see that graphic?
Yep, it's there.
All right. These are just some screenshots of Rainmaker, Contractors Cloud Rainmaker, which we are, this is supposed to be done a long time ago, but these things take time. We are really close to getting this out to more of a full beta test to our users here, and we're talking about here within the next month. But what's really cool about Contractors Cloud and where we're going is you certainly got to understand where we've been. I told you that I'm a self-taught developer. I learned web development while building Contractors Cloud. And I think you can pretty much put 2 and 2 together, where one of the things that we get docked on in Contractors Cloud is, you know what, we may not be the sexiest program out there. You know what, we admit that. But it was built by a guy that essentially in day one had no clue how to do any of this stuff. But I learned over time, and I learned real quick. And what's really amazing is here we are 9 years later running the same platform, and we're still competing with all of the systems, excuse me, that are currently out there. You got to ask yourself, why? Why, if you have a older, not very sexy program, how are you still competing? Well, it's because of the people behind the program, and that's something that we're extremely proud of. One of the things that we've done to set ourselves apart over the past 9 years is we are customer-driven development. I'm not sure the rest of the systems out there can say that, but here initially, one of the cool things when you're the chief cook and bottle washer, and what I mean by that is when you're the owner, the developer, and the sales guy and the service guy, you really got to learn people's businesses extremely well. And our users come up with the greatest ideas, and if they're really good, and it's something that can benefit all of the other users, we're going to put it in Contractors Cloud. And that's exactly what we've done over the past 9 years. Now, times have changed. Everyone's on our phones. The way we operate technology is completely different. So it's time for us to take what's really, really good and really, really special about Contractors Cloud and take all that cool stuff out and carve it out, dissect it out, and shine it up and make it faster and more efficient, and then put it in a brand new 2020 chassis that is responsive and mobile and does everything that people expect it to do. That's where Contractors Cloud is going. That's what Rainmaker is. We're extremely excited about it, and we can't wait. We can't wait to get this thing out in people's hands.
Absolutely. And I think, like you mentioned really early on in the webinar, we want to continue to make the integration between Contractors Cloud and CompanyCam as efficient as possible for the contractor, because, on the surface, it makes a lot of sense why the integration is so good. We've got roofing background, you've got the roofing background, but what does it need to do from an integration standpoint to make your life as a contractor easier? And we want to know that. We want to make that happen. So with that, we timed this about perfect, Dwight.
Perfect. We worked hard on it. Last night we practiced for 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah, absolutely. There was no playoff baseball being watched in my house last night. So couple little housekeeping items, and if you have questions, now would be the time to drop those questions into the chat. But housekeeping items, stay in the know on upcoming webinars with CompanyCam. You can do that at www.companycam.com/webinars. That'll have all the upcoming ones that we have. You can watch old ones. A lot of good content there. I didn't do it today because I didn't have anybody's swag to rock, but I'm going to start pubbing customers, partners, whoever is watching this. I want to wear your gear. I want to get your gear. I'm going to get a bigger shelf set up back here. Today we've got the balance claims hat made it into the swag area, and then obviously we've got this trusty Hail Trace one that's been up there for a while. But if you have swag, you want me to rock it while I'm doing these webinars or any of our live events, or if you wanted to get a hat or something into the partner or client shrine, send it our way and we will get that. We'll give you some shout outs here on the events. Hint, hint, Dwight, that Under Armour hat is looking pretty nice you got there. So yeah, appreciate everyone joining us. Hopefully you got some good content out of this. As Dwight mentioned, there is a blog that really lays this out as well. We will make sure everyone that's registered, Dwight, gets a link to that blog. So we'll send that out via email.
Perfect.
Here after this. So Dwight, thanks for joining us, and everyone for taking an hour of your day and learning and improving your business. So appreciate you guys all, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Michael, and you guys keep up the great work that you're doing. We're big fans of you guys.
Absolutely. Have a good one, everyone.
Later.